Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas everyone! And today, by popular demand, I bring you a Goliath of a duel analysis. Agaton versus Schmirko. This is going to be a long video, so let's get to the backstory as soon as possible. After a string of losses and only surviving on luck, Agaton feels he's going to need help to defeat the evil Mephisto and save his friend Leho. Agaton knows there's only one person he can turn to, the person who gave him his Cyber's deck. Schmirko. Schmirko says he will tell him where Leho is, but cannot come with him. He has his own issues to deal with right now, and this fight isn't his. Agaton accuses Schmirko of making excuses and just wants to chill in his man cave, but Schmirko tells him that there's more to it than that. Right now, Agaton needs to learn to believe in himself and prove that he's ready to face Mephisto. Agaton tells Schmirko they're running out of time, but Schmirko tells him that if he runs into a fight unprepared, they might as well be out of time. So either duel him and prove how far he's come, or run the risk of running into a lion's den. Agaton accepts the challenge. So, with all that stuff out of the way, let's chorus on and deck these halls. The duel begins and Schmirko goes first. He draws his opening hand, which contains Electromagnetic Turtle, Desperado Barrel Dragon, Lost Wind, Trade-In, and Von Dalgion, the Dark Dragon Lord. He starts by activating Trade-In, discarding his level 8 Von Dalgion to draw 2 cards. He gets Metaverse and Appropriate. He then sets his Electromagnetic Turtle in face down defense mode, then sets Metaverse, Appropriate, and Lost Wind face down. He ends his turn. It's Agaton's turn. He draws, and his opening hand consists of Limit Code, Hope for Escape, Silent Regression, Broken Line, Clock Wyvern, and Widget Kid. He starts by normal summoning Widget Kid. Its effect activates, letting Agaton special summon one Cyberse monster from his hand in defense mode. He summons Clock Wyvern. Now Wyvern's effect activates. By having its own stats, Agaton can special summon a Clock token. This token's a level 1 Wind Cyberse type monster with no attack or defense. Now he uses Kid and token to create a circuit. He Link summons the very first ever Link monster on the planet, Clock Spartoy. Spartoy's effect activates, so Agaton can fetch Cynet Fusion from his deck. He immediately activates it, fusing Spartoy with his Wyvern to fusion summon Cyberse Clock Dragon. And since Spartoy is a Link 2, Agaton mills 2, and Clock Dragon gains 1000 attack points for every card milled. Agaton mills Swap Cleric and Cyberse Magician. Then Clock Dragon gains 2000 attack points. Poor Cyberse Magician. I don't think it's ever summoned in the movie series canon, not even once. Agaton enters his battle phase and orders Clock Dragon to attack Schmirko's set monster. Schmirko looks disappointed by this basic brute force play, then reveals one of his set cards, Metaverse. He uses its effect to activate a field spell from his deck, and that field spell is Layer of Darkness. This field spell turns all monsters of the field into dark types. Schmirko's turtle was destroyed, but since a Dark Machine monster was destroyed, he gets the special summon from his hand, Desperado Barrel Dragon. Agaton attempts to end his battle phase, but before he does, Schmirko activates his Desperado's effect. He flips 3 coins, and for every heads he gets, he can destroy up to that many face-up monsters. He gets 2 heads, but only destroys 1 monster, Clock Dragon. Clock Dragon is destroyed, but because it died to a card effect, Agaton can add any spell card from his deck to his hand. He adds the field spell Cynet Storm. He enters the main phase 2 and activates his new field spell. He then sets Limit Code, Hope for Escape, and Silent Regression face down, and ends his turn. He misplayed Agaton for not setting that Broken Line as well, because it's going to have a knock-on effect later in the duel that we'll get to later. It's Schmirko's turn. He draws and gets Upstart Goblin. He activates it, so he gets to draw 1 new card, Pot of Desires, and Agaton gains 1000 life points. Now he activates Pot of Desires. He banishes the top 10 cards of his deck face down to draw 2 new cards. He gets Trade-In and Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. He activates Trade-In, discarding Diablos, then draws 1 Day of Peace and Arima, the Wicked Warden. He normal summons Arima, then activates effect, triggering a dark monster, itself, so he can draw 1 more card, and he gets Monster Gate. And because a dark monster was triggered by this effect, Darkest Diablos can be special summoned from the graveyard. It's summoned in attack mode. But it won't be around for long because Schmirko activates Monster Gate. By triggering his Diablos, he can mill the top cards of his deck until he gets a summonable monster. Then he may summon it for free! He mills Magic Planter, but the next one is one of his favorites. Battle phase. Desperado attacks directly. Agaton takes over 2000 damage, but that's just what he wanted, because now he activates his field spells effect, summoning a random Cyberse monster from his extra deck. And Lady Lex summons Link 4, Topologic Zerovorus. Zerovorus gains 200 attack points for every card that's banished. And thanks to the 10 that Schmirko just banished, he has a whopping 5,000 attack points. But not for long, because Schmirko reveals his trap card Lost Wind. This card negates the effect of a specially summoned monster and halves their stats. So Zero Force goes down to 3,000 attack, and then that stat is halved to 1,500. Now it's St. Joan's turn to attack. She attacks and destroys Zero Force. Agaton takes 1,300 damage, and because Joan destroyed it, Schmirko gains life points equal to the original attack points. So Schmirko is boosted to 1,100 life points. Schmirko enters his main phase 2, then activates One Day of Peace. Both players draw one card, but neither player takes any damage until the end of Agaton's turn. Schmirko draws and gets Amnesty Infinity. Agaton draws and gets Boot Staggered. Before Schmirko can end his turn, Agaton shotguns his trap card Limit Code. This lets him special summon a Code Talker monster from his extra deck and equip it with this card. Then it gains 2 counters because there are 2 Link monsters in Agaton's graveyard. He summons a Link to Code Talker and links it to Desperado. And because it's linked, it cannot be destroyed by a battle or card effects. Also, both the field spell and its own effect give an extra 500 attack points, so it stands at 2,300. Schmirko compliments Agaton on the smart move, since this means the Code Talker is safe from Desperado, but he then activates Lost Wind's graveyard effect. Since a monster was summoned from the extra deck, Lost Wind resets itself on the field, but it'll be banished when it leaves the field. Agaton isn't backing down though. He changes its other trap card, Silent Regression. Because a Link monster was summoned, Agaton gets to destroy a card on the field, then draw 1 card. He takes aim at Layer of Darkness. It resolves and Layer is destroyed, but Schmirko reveals his other continuous trap card, Appropriate. Now, whenever Agaton draws outside of his draw phase, Schmirko gets to draw 2 cards. Agaton draws his 1, which is Forbidden Chalice, and Schmirko draws his 2, which are the second Lost Wind and Windstorm of Vetakwa. He sets them both face down, and finally ends his turn. It's Agaton's turn. He draws and gets Cyber Synchron. Agaton asks Schmirko if he truly thinks he wasn't ready for a duelist of Schmirko's caliber. He then activates his trap, Hope for Escape, at the price of 1,000 life points. Agaton gets to draw 1 card for every 2,000 points of difference in their life points between him and Schmirko. The difference is 7,100, so Agaton draws 3 cards, and he gets a second Widget Kid, Balancer Lord, and Backup Secretary. Schmirko thanks him because now Appropriate activates and lets him draw 2 cards, which are Card Destruction and Dark World Dealings. At this point, I'm starting to think this is going to be my own Zark vs. Everyone, where I'm just going to explain the cards they drew and all their effects and stuff like that, rather than just, find a point. Oh god. Well, buckle up. Moving on. Now, because Agaton controls a Cyberus monster, he can special summon Backup Secretary from his hand. He then normal summons Balancer Lord, and then uses this effect, paying 1,000 life points to get an extra normal summon this turn. He normal summons his second Widget Kid, then uses its effect to special summon Cyberus Synchron from his hand. And because a Cyberus monster was summoned, Agaton gets to special summon Boot Staggered from his hand. Now, with a field full of 6 monsters, Agaton can go all out. He overlays the level 3 Widget Kid and Backup Secretary to Xyz summon Rank 3 Cyberus Reminder. He uses its effect, detaching Secretary to add Silent Regression from his graveyard to his hand. But Schmirko chains with Lost Wind again, so Reminder's effect is negated and Regression stays in the graveyard, while Lost Wind is banished. But that's just what Agaton wants, because now he feels it's safe to summon his ace monster. He sets Reminder, Staggered, and Link to Code Talker in the Link arrows. He Link summons Link 4, and since it's linked, it gains 500 attack points. But Agaton wasn't as safe as he thought, because Schmirko activates a second Lost Wind. Bomber loses its effect and half its attack points, but at least it stays at 2,000 attack. Agaton isn't giving up though. He uses Cyber Synchron's effect, doubling its own level. He then has level 2 Cyber Synchron tune his level 5 Boot Staggered to Synchro summon level 7 Cyberus Quantum Dragon. Because he did though, the second Lost Wind then resets itself on Schmirko's field. Battle phase, Agaton orders Quantum to attack Desperado, but Schmirko activates Desperado's effect. Agaton's ready this time though and activates Quick Play spell card Forbidden Chalice. Now Desperado gains 400 attack points but loses its effect. But Schmirko has an answer to that as well. He activates his other trap card, Windstorm of Vetakwa. This changes the battle position of Agaton's monsters. Quantum goes to defense mode, but Bomber is unaffected because it's a Link monster. Sighing a disappointment, he sets Broken Line face down and ends his turn.
And this is where Agaton really paid for not setting Broken Line earlier, because he didn't have to do that whole Forbidden Chalice play. He could have just used Broken Line to destroy it, and there would be like next to no consequences. So, yeah, Big mistake, Agaton.
It's Schmirko's turn. He draws and gets an unknown card that we're calling White Magician Pikiru.
He activates Dark World Dealings.
Now both players must draw one card, then discard one card. Agaton draws Cyber Synchron, then discards it. Schmirko draws the Wicked Avatar and discards Embassy Infinity. And because Agaton drew, appropriate triggers, so Schmirko draws
the Grand Jupiter and Recall.
Schmirko then sets Recall face down and activates Card Destruction. Both do discard their whole hand, then draw new ones. Schmirko discards 3 cards, Pikiru, Avatar, and Jupiter, then draws Draining Shield,
Dark Bribe,
and Mechlord Emperor Grinnell. Agaton has no hand, so he does nothing. Now Schmirko activates his Reset Lost Wind, affecting Quantum Dragon this time. Battle phase, Schmirko has Desperado attack Bomber. Agaton uses Cyber Synchron's effect, banishing it so that Bomber isn't destroyed by this battle. Agaton still takes 1300 damage though. Sadly, that effect is a once per turn. So Schmirko orders Joan to attack Bomber Dragon. It succeeds, and Agaton loses 1200 life points, while Schmirko gets another 3000.
Last but not least, he sets Dark Bribe and Draining Shield face down, and ends his turn. Now, small spoiler, Schmirko is never going to activate Dark Bribe. My best guess as to why is because this duel is ultimately just a test. He wants to see what Agaton can do, and negating everything isn't a good way to do that, so he's saving it for when it's absolutely necessary.
It's Agaton's turn, and he knows he's only got one shot left to turn this around. But he'll bet everything on that one shot. He draws and gets Pot of Desires. Note, it does show him that he already has a card in hand, the 360 shot, but much like Eric's 2 extra cards, he never uses them. It shouldn't be there, but it's ultimately unused, so whatever, it gets a pass. Agaton activates Desires, banishing 10 to draw 2. He gets Security Block and Cyburst Gadget.
Appropriate activates off screen, and Schmirko gets Lilith Lady of Lament and an unknown card.
He normal summons Cyburst Gadget, who has Junk Synchron's effect, reviving Swap Cleric. He sets both in the Link arrows to Link Summon Link 2 Flame Administrator, and it gives all Link monsters an extra 800 attack points. Cleric's effect activates. Since it was used as Link material, Agaton can lower Administrator's attack points by 500 to draw 1 card. Agaton pays that cost and draws World Legacy Succession, then Gadget Chain since it went to the graveyard. Agaton gets a Gadget token, a level 2 light Cyber monster with no attack or defense. But because Agaton drew, appropriate resolves, giving Schmirko Monster Reborn and Dimension Sphinx. I am convinced that MST is at the bottom of this man's deck. You can't tell me otherwise. And no matter how much he shuffles that dang deck, it always stays at the bottom. Somehow. Agaton activates World Legacy Succession, which is basically Monster Reborn, but the revived monster has to point to a Link monster. He revives Clock Spartoy, Link to Flame Administrator. Now Agaton has everything he needs to summon the ultimate Link monster. He sets Quantum Dragon, Link 2 Spartoy, and Link 2 Administrator in the Link arrows. He Link summons Link 5 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid! And because Dark Fluid is pointed to Desperado, it gains 500 attack points. And because there's a Cyber's Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, and Xyz monster in the graveyard, it gains 4 counters. Agaton enters his battle phase and orders Dark Fluid to attack Desperado. And because it has 4 counters, it gains 10,000 attack points. Schmirko activates Desperado's effect, but Agaton chains with his counter trap Broken Line, which is basically Imperm at home. Since the card effect was activated in this card's column, that effect is negated and destroyed, so Desperado was too slow on the draw. Schmirko thanks Agaton though, because since Desperado died to a card effect, Schmirko can special summon an old friend from his hand, Mechlord Emperor Grinnell! Agaton gets PTSD and chains with Dark Fluid's effect, removing a counter and making its attack points 10,500, so the Grinnell's summon effect will be negated. Schmirko then counters with his own trap card Recall. Since Agaton activated a monster effect at the cost of letting him draw 1 card, which is Magic Cylinder, that effect is negated and destroyed. Agaton has a failsafe though, because he banishes the second Cyber Synchro in his graveyard to protect Dark Fluid. But in the end, Grinnell was still summoned, and its attack points was always equal to half of Schmirko's life points. Since Schmirko has 14,000, Grinnell has 7,000. Also appropriate triggered off screen, Schmirko drew double or nothing, and an unknown card that he's going to set later. A replay occurs though, and Agaton orders Dark Fluid to attack Grinnell, but Schmirko reveals his other set card, Draining Shield. Now the attack is negated, and Schmirko gains Dark Fluid's 10,500 attack points as life points. So his life points become 24,500, while Grinnell's attack becomes 12,250. Sighing, Agaton sets Security Block and Magic Cylinder face down, and ends his turn. It's Schmirko's turn. He draws and gets Spirit Barrier. He opens with a classic, Monster Reborn, reviving Emmis the Infinity from his graveyard. He enters the battle phase and has Grinnell attack Dark Fluid. Agaton counters with the quick play spell card Security Block, protecting his Dark Fluid from destruction and Agaton from damage from that battle. The token isn't safe though. Schmirko has Emis kill it. Schmirko then sets double or nothing and a mysterious card face down and ends his turn. Why not Cylinder here? Probably due to card advantage. Schmirko has so many cards while Agaton only has a few, so he's probably waiting for a safe security where he can have a few more cards and feel like he can go neck to neck with him rather than him still being behind. But that's just a theory. A Yu-Gi-Oh! Theory! Now, Agaton's turn. He draws against the real-life card of Demise. Agaton wastes no time and orders his Dark Fluid to attack Grinnell. Schmirko counters with his electromagnetic turtles effect from the graveyard. By banishing it, the attack is negated and the battle phase ends. Agaton's fine with that though, because he knew he'd have to get that card out of the way eventually, and now Schmirko has no tricks left for next turn. Bro, have you been paying attention to this duel at all? He's had a trick every turn! Main phase 2, Agaton activates card Demise, drawing 3 cards which are Spool Code, Balance of Judgment, and Tie Strike. But Schmirko takes no damage for the rest of the turn, and Agaton must discard his whole hand during the end phase. Meanwhile, thanks to Appropriate, Schmirko draws 2 unknown cards which are just discarded later. Agaton sets Spool Code, Balance of Judgment, and Tie Strike face down, and ends his turn. And since he has no cards left in his hand, he discards nothing. And here we have a strange misplay from both duelists. Because Agaton attacked Grinnell when Grinnell had more attack points, while Joan and Emis were just sitting right there, and killing them would have damaged Schmirko, and therefore Grinnell. And Schmirko ain't off easy either. He could just let the attack go through, and let Dark Fluid kill itself. My explanation as to why in Universe is because ultimately this is just a little training thing to make sure that Agaton is ready, so he's going to make a misplay. I don't want him losing right here. We're still testing him. So let's just banish that turtle and give him a free chance off on this one. Everybody gets one. Or maybe he thought that since Agaton has some extra cards in hand, maybe he's got something that can protect him. Or maybe boost his Dark Fluid's attack points by some crazy amount. So let's just play it safe and banish the turtle. Or maybe the writer just forgot that Dark Fluid had fewer attack points now from using the counter. That's possible too. Or maybe even Agaton's actor just forgot to say like Emis or Joan, just said Grinnell or something. It doesn't ultimately matter at the end of the day, it's just a really weird thing is all. But hey, if there's just one small error in an ultimately epic duel, yeah, that's fine in my book. Also, maybe Agaton could have used Dark Fluid's effect to negate the turtle, but if he did that, then his Dark Fluid would only have 8,000 attack points, and that Grinnell would still be way too strong to get over. So, yeah, he needs his dragon to have as many attack points as possible, just in case. You gotta be picky with your counters in this scenario. Back to the duel. Schmirko gives Agaton credit for hanging in there for as long as he had. Not many have accomplished such attack, just as the Shadow Lord and Risky. It's Schmirko's turn, in the penultimate turn of the duel. He draws against Magical Stone Excavation. He activates it, discarding 2 mysterious cards, and adds back any spell card he wants from his graveyard. And he takes Dark World Dealings. He activates it. Now once again, both players draw 1 card, then discard 1 card. Schmirko draws double Magical Arm Shield and discards an unknown card. Meanwhile, Agaton draws Intercept Tomato and immediately discards it. And because Agaton drew, Appropriate's effect activates, so he draws Roulette Spider and Orgoth the Relentless. Card destruction from Agaton would be really funny right now. Schmirko knows that Agaton's trap cards could be trouble, but he has so many life points that he's willing to take that risk. He orders Grinnell to attack Dark Fluid. Unfortunately, Schmirko fell for one of the most basic traps in the game. Agaton reveals his face-down card, Magic Cylinder! The attack is negated, and Schmirko loses half of his life points. One of the greatest duelists in history proves that he's still human. Despite this, Schmirko smiles, because he reveals his set quick play spell card, Double or Nothing. Because the attack was negated, Grinnell's attack is doubled, and he can attack one more time. Grinnell's attack may have dropped to 6125, but then skyrockets again back to 12,250. He orders it to attack Dark Fluid once more! Agaton's ready though. He reveals his set quick play spell Tie Strike. This makes Dark Fluid's attack points become the same as Grinnell's. Both monsters destroy each other. Then Tie's other effect activates. Both duelists lose life points into the destroyed monster's original attack points. Grinnell's base attack is question mark, which is considered 0. So Schmirko's safe, but Agaton will lose 3,000 life points. Unless, of course, he banishes the Intercept Tomato from his graveyard. By doing this, all effect damage becomes 0. Schmirko compliments on the impressive combo, but reminds Agaton it's 2 face downs versus 2 monsters. He orders Emis to attack directly. Agaton activates his quick play spell card Spool Code. This negates Emis' direct attack and summons 3 Spool tokens in defense mode. Level 1 light Cyber tokens with 0 attack and defense. That's fine. Joan attacks and destroys one of the tokens. Schmirko enters his main phase 2 and sets Roulette Spider and Dimension Sphinx face down, ending his turn. And during the end phase, Agaton activates his last face down card, Balance of Judgment. Because Schmirko has 3 or more cards in him, he gets to draw 3 cards, which are Pot of Acquisitiveness, Swords at Dawn, and the beginning of the end. Appropriate activates though, and Schmirko draws 2 cards, which are both unknown and unused, while humorously accusing Agaton of trying to get him to deck out. Agaton denies this though. He promises to finish him off the old-fashioned way. It's Agaton's turn, and the final turn of the duel. He draws and gets Dotscaper. He normally summons it, then immediately links it off to make Link 1 Link Karibo. Dotscaper's effect activates. Once per duel, it can revive itself from the graveyard. He then uses 2 of his tokens to make Link 2 Honeybot. Next he uses Link Karibo and Honeybot to make his circuit, and Link summon Link 3 Transcode Talker. Agaton activates Transcode's effect, reviving a Cyberse Link monster to a zone this card points to. He revives Honeybot. Now he activates the beginning of the end. Oh, don't give me hope. By banishing 5 dark monsters from his graveyard, he can draw 3 new cards. He banishes Code Talker, Clock Spartoy, Trisbania, Bomber, and Dark Fluid, and then chains with the Swift Play spell card Pot Acquisitiveness, returning his banished Dark Fluid and 2 other cards to his deck to draw 1 more card, meaning he gets to draw 4 cards instead, which are Defect Compiler, Photon Lead, Gravity Lash, and Link Back. Appropriate activates, giving Schmirko only 2 cards, which are both mysterious and unused. Agaton wastes no more time. He sets Transcode, Honeybot, and Dotscaper in the Link arrows to Link summon back Dark Fluid. And once again, it has 4 counters and thus 13,000 attack points. Next, Agaton activates Link Back. This card moves his Link monster into a main monster zone that it points to. Then he has to mill the top card of his deck for every Link rating that monster had. Dark Fluid moves to the middle main monster zone. Then Agaton mills 5 cards, which are 4 mysterious cards and Double-Edged Sword. Agaton then activates Gravity Lash on Emis. Now it loses attack points equal to its defense points, so it now only has 500 attack points left. Agaton orders Dark Fluid to attack Emis, attempting to go for game, but Schmirko reveals his set card Roulette Spider. Now he rolls a die, and whatever it lands on will determine the outcome of this duel. Agaton chains with his quick play spell Photon Lead, letting him special summon a light attribute monster from his hand. He summons Defect Compiler, just in case something goes wrong.
Schmirko goes to activate his Dark Bribe, but stops himself.
He remembers that this duel was never about winning or losing. It was to test Agaton's skills as a duelist and see how good he's become. With that, he offers one final test. He activates his other set card, Dimension Sphinx. Now, just in case Agaton does attack Emis, he'll lose life points equal to the difference in their attack points. Agaton uses Defect Compiler's effect, putting a counter on it to negate any burn damage. And now, the entire result of this duel comes down to a single roll of fate. And that roll lands on a 4. This means that Agaton's Dark Fluid changes its target to his own Defect Compiler. Agaton hangs his head, knowing he did everything he could to win. So, there's only one move left to make. He activates his final card, the quick play spell Swords at Dawn. This card equips one monster with an equipped spell from his graveyard. He equips Dark Fluid with Double-Edged Sword. This gives his Dark Fluid extra 2,000 attack points. But the catch is, both players take damage from attacks involving this card. Fittingly, the climactic duel comes to an end in a draw. And while Agaton may not have won, Schmirko tells him that winning was never the point of this duel. It was to prove that he has improved as a duelist, and is ready to face Mephisto. In that regard, he passed with flying colors. So who was about to win this duel? Schmirko, hands down, it was literally shown to us. He could have won the duel in the final turn, but he chose to offer Agaton one final test instead. Because at the end of the day, Schmirko knows that the fate of the timeline is far more important than his win-loss record. Plus, it's not a loss, it's a tie. And while some may say a tie is worse than losing, I say depends on the context. And let me tell you something about that final duel. It's not a bad duel at all, I quite like it in fact. But this is like winning worlds so you can beat one guy at locals. You overtrained. Big time. That being said, Agaton did pass up on a golden opportunity to do major damage to Schmirko and maybe even win the duel. And this is where I have to bring up the misplay with not setting Broken Line sooner. Because you see, if he had set Broken Line and used it when Quantum Dragon attacked instead of Forbidden Chalice, Schmirko doesn't have Mech Lord Emperor Grinnell in his hand right now, so he can't bring it out.
and therefore won't run into the whole dark fluid problem later. Now, he'll still have Forbidden Chalice, and Schmirko will have a recall later, so they can have that little interaction. But the point is, Grinnell never hits the field in this scenario, so if he had just set that broken line a little sooner, Agaton might have won this match, or at least gotten a lot closer to victory. Granted though, with broken line, Schmirko could just activate Dark Bribe and negate that whole thing, so this whole point might not even exist. But again, we're just theorizing at the end of the day. We don't have any actual proof. And yet, despite that,
both duelists put on a phenomenal performance, and was giving it their all at all times. Agaton comboed like the best of Cyber's players, making strong fields from next to no resources. In the end, he learns that while sometimes things get hard, and it can seem like you aren't enough, if you hang in there and believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Meanwhile, Schmirko had an answer to all situations, always slowing down the speed of this duel and remaining in control. And while Schmirko can sometimes feel like he's a little too perfect, he isn't. He's a man working with old cards in a newer environment, trying to keep up despite that. It's an example that just because you're old doesn't mean you're worthless. Both duelists taught very valuable lessons that we should be taking to heart come 2026. But what do you all think? Did you notice any misplays that I missed? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and be sure to check out Yugioh RLDS and Schmirko Official. They are both more than worth your time, with some great content on there, and even more great stuff coming in the future. So please, go check them out. I'm sure they won't complain about some extra views. No siree, Bob. Highly recommended, easily. Well, with all that said, I thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and hope all of you have a happy and safe holidays. See you in 2026. Until then, see you next year!